is what quarterback has gotten better under Kyle Shanahan. Now, you can make the argument that Matt Ryan did. He won an MVP and they advanced to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, they're together 2 years.
Right, but Matt Ryan was already an established NFL quarterback. Hell, a lot of people had him in the top 10 anyway before Shanahan arrived in Atlanta.
Yeah, that was a little high for my liking.
So for the 49ers, Matt Ryan has some really good years. For the 49ers, what quarterback has gotten better under Kyle Shanahan? Because if Brock Purdy does play as well as he did last year and improves, he would be the first quarterback under Shanahan in the 7 years, he's going on 7 years here as a head coach of the 49ers, to get better under Shanahan. We could argue that Jimmy Garoppolo regressed. We could argue that Nick Mullen's got worse. C.J. Beathard. First, early on, I was like, oh, man, this kid's tough. He's throwing deep, everything. Remember the Monday night game against Green Bay? I was like, wow, look at him throw to C.J. What's our guy? Marquise Goodwin.
That's that game.
Remember that game?
I do remember that game.
And then he got bad. And now he's hanging out for dear life in the NFL. Trey Lance, we don't know what he looks like. Have no idea. If Brock Purdy balls out, hell, if Sam Darnold starts. I mean, this would be basically the first time a quarterback has gotten better than Kyle Shanahan. I think it's pressure on Shanahan just as much as there's pressure on Brock Purdy or Trey Lance or Sam Darnold to get the most out of his quarterbacks. Don't you think?
Yeah, no doubt. And there's pressure across the board because there's obviously the tug and pull of the roster, which it feels like this is the last year of the loaded roster. They're going to have to make a tough decision or two or three on this roster moving forward. And I keep coming back to the same thing. Dude, football has a way of letting itself play out. Guys get chances. Right? Like, I was ready to write off Zach Wilson like 5 times last year. They just kept giving him opportunities because other guys were getting hurt.
Right.
What was it, Mike White that hurt his ribs after he kind of took the job, and then Zach Wilson got another chance to go in there? You know, I'm not saying that Brock's going to get hurt. I'm just saying, like, he will have an opportunity, whether performance slips a little or whether it's preseason or whether it is that they wait a week or two or 3 or 4 weeks on Brock Purdy. Trey Lance is going to get an opportunity, and it's up to him to make the most of it. And then conversely, it's also up to Brock Purdy to maintain a stranglehold on the position. I think that's the thing not being talked about enough is, you know, if Brock starts to slip a little, how long is our patience?
Did we see slippage in the playoffs?
Well, they won, so we kind of overlooked those things.
We overlooked them, but here's what I'll say about that. We do this all the time. We did this with Jimmy G in 2019, which drove me crazy. Now, hear me out here before you freak out. You remember Eli Manning's first go-rounds in the postseason? Didn't he have a game against the Carolina Panthers where he threw like 5 picks in the wild card game?
Yeah.
I mean, guys struggle in the playoffs. Steve Young was not a great playoff performer. Mm-hmm. He just was not. Even when he threw the touchdown pass to T.O., go look at the numbers there. Now, granted, T.O. dropped a lot of passes, but Steve Young was erratic in that game.
2 in the end zone.
You're right. He was erratic in that game at times. Steve Young did not have a great postseason career.
Jerry Rice fumbled.
He did fumble. Green Bay would have been undefeated against Steve. Yeah. They basically would have won like 10 in a row.
Was that Mike Holmgren's last game in Green Bay?
Yep.
Yeah. Keep
Before
going.
He moved to Seattle.
Sorry.
But there's my point is, quarterbacks struggle in the postseason, so I don't want to hold that against Brock Purdy, especially your first go-around in the postseason.
And against, I believe, to be 2 or 3 best defense in the NFL.
Right, the Philadelphia Eagles and the Dallas Cowboys. Yeah. Now, Philadelphia, one thing, again, I want to go back to this for a second. The disappointment of the Philly game, to me, was they're a lot farther apart from the Super Bowl. They're a lot farther from winning a Super Bowl than they are because of the trenches. They got dominated in the trenches. And when you get dominated in the trenches like that by Philadelphia, I'm thinking to myself, boy, you're not even close to them. You're not even on their level. Like, they got punked up front. Like the clips of Javon Kinlaw. And you watch the game back and like, damn, Javon, that bad? That bad? They were toying with him.
Yeah.
No pass rush. I mean, it was embarrassing how bad they got beat up front. And did they improve themselves up front? Well, they got Javon Hargrave. That's one guy. But offensively, on that offensive line, I don't know if they improved or not. So for me, they felt farther away from the Super Bowl than they felt closer after that game. The Rams game was like, damn.
Quarterback.
Damn, quarterback. Give me a quarterback. Why couldn't you play Trey all year? So, I
don't know if we win that game because like I'm seeing it now from the 4-5. Even though if Purdy doesn't get hurt, we win that game. I don't know. That was the part I feel we got robbed of. I wanted to see it. I wanted to see it. I wanted to see it.
What happens if the Niners come down and they tie that game at 7 a pop?
I mean, Bonte, you were in that stadium with me when Christian McCaffrey made that play.
Oh my God!
By the way,
limit booty was looming large.
If they win that game, that's a top 5 play in Niner history.
Wow! Christian McCaffrey run.
He broke like 50 tackles.
That crowd was shook.
I've never seen anything like that.
We were screaming loud. We were amped.
Hey, you know what no one wants to hear? Josh Johnson actually made a couple of throws in that game. I know no one wants to hear this.
He threw the quick slight to Deebo Samuel. Deebo Samuel almost broke that tackle, and we're like, hurry up. All right, cool. We got something cooking here. We got something. Remember that? And he drops the snap. But also, when the Niners did tie it up at 7 a pop, the game changed. The Niners got called for 3 egregious secondary penalties. The defensive holding.
Charvarius Ward.
Jimmy Ward on the slant.
Oh, was it Jimmy Ward?
Jimmy Ward, the first one. Yeah. And then Charvarius Ward later on the sideline. Yeah. And then I forgot who else got called for something. And that flipped the game. I
think it was the Dre Greenlaw late hit, or no?
I want to say he got called for holding. Maybe it was a late hit, but it was down in the goal line in the red zone.
Yeah.
So, anyway, that's a painful memory. Painful. Just challenge the damn play, Shanahan. But I think it's a lot more pressure on Shanahan, too, because this may be the last year with this team. As much as we talk about the Golden State Warriors and what they're going to do, the 49ers, like, how many years does George Kittle have left in the Niner uniform? They just drafted 2 tight ends.
Yeah.
And we know George Kittle, we all forget, he was drafted in what round? The 5th round.
Yeah.
They just drafted 2 tight ends late that Latu, the kid from Alabama, we've seen a lot of him.
Yeah. Let me ask you this question from the 615, which I have no idea where that's from. A team has been to the NFC title 3 out of 4 years in the game and a Super Bowl in one of those years, and Kyle has to prove he can develop a quarterback? ?
Yeah, because what has held them back in 3 to 4 years?
What's that?
What has held them back in 3 of the last 4 years?
Quarterback play.
Jimmy, 2019, we were about to fight after the Minnesota game. But Jimmy in the Super Bowl, in the 4th quarter, I watched that back in Cabo, and it gets worse and worse every time I watch it. It gets worse and worse. It's a painful reality. It's a painful watch.
Is there is there even like a comp in sports of a team without the lead dog, but everything else is great around it, winning? Like, football's so unique because
Trent Dilfer, right?
I mean, that was 20-something years ago.
But you asked for a comp. Brad Johnson.
I'm talking about recently.
Oh, recently? No. Nick Foles, maybe? But Nick Foles was airing that thing out. Nick Foles may be the only one.
Flacco
was solid, though.
He was more established than yes. Nick Foles
and
is the one.
Foles went to the playoffs with Chip Kelly Eagles.
He did. He did. He had that great game at the Coliseum.
6 touchdowns?
7 touchdowns.
7 touchdowns.
Jeremy Maclin?
No, it was who was? Yeah, Maclin might have been there. Riley Cooper.
Riley
Cooper.
Was Sean McCoy?
Yeah.
Was Shady there?
Matt Barkley came in garbage time. He could have thrown for like 9 touchdowns that game.
Wow.
Was that the high water mark for Chip?
It was up there. That Eagles team was dangerous. Let's go to JD in Menlo Park.
It almost feels like a college football team in that like those Oklahoma teams with like Josh Heupel and guys like that. It's like everything else is great, just don't screw it up.
JD, Menlo Park, what's happening?
Alabama teams.
Hey, nothing, man. I just want to ask you guys: are y'all guys ready to have another Jimmy G? We don't even know if Brock Purdy will even hold up. He's too small, too fragile. Or do we want a dual quarterback? Because Kyle Shanahan had no choice but to open up that playbook for Brock Purdy, and I think he kind of peaked too early. And we've seen what we had in Brock Purdy. We don't see what we had with Trey Lance. He was still trying to see what he had in Trey Lance, so he wasn't really opening up that playbook. So now we got some speed on the outside, so that's going to open up the middle for Debo when he come across the middle for the slants. You know.
So JD,
the speed of yeah.
So let me ask you 2 questions. Number 1. Do you care who the quarterback is at the end of the day?
No, I don't really care, but I care for moving on from Jimmy G. I don't want to know Jimmy G look alike. I mean,
so you believe Brock? So you think Brock Purdy, that was fool's gold last year? You think that he may revert to being a game manager like Jimmy Garoppolo?
Yeah, you can see it. You can see his gameplay. He ain't doing nothing what Jimmy G did when he first came into the Niners. Doing exactly the same thing Jimmy G did. But now we got this dual quarterback. I mean, he with a big arm. Now we got some lightweight speed to open up. Debo taking hits. Now we don't. Now we can call height. Oh, we don't. They don't know where they go. Is they go to Debo, or they go to the speed, or they go to Brandon Ayuk. Now we got more speed on the outside because we didn't have that last year. And they just hiding Jimmy G and Brock Purdy on. They don't got that one to throw the ball downfield like that.
All right, JD, I respect you, but Urlacher Bears is one from the 917. That's a good
20
call.
Years ago.
Yeah, I know, but you ask for comps. Teams were just throwing teams out there. It's not, It's not a lot of teams out there. And they lost
in the rain to the Colts.
And why did they lose? Bad quarterback play.
Rex Grossman.
You don't have good quarterback play. You're not winning Super Bowls in today's day and age.
Well, that's what I'm saying. And all those references are from the early 2000s. The league's changed a lot in terms of the rules and whatnot. Here's a Kyle Shanahan quote. I love this one. And I want you guys, tell me what you think of this, B. We know what we have in Purdy. I truly believe in my heart what Trey can be. It still takes time. And you got to go and do it. In the meantime, we have a guy sitting here who has already done it. And that's a very good thing for the Niners. That's a Kyle Shanahan quote.
Yeah, I saw that quote.
What do you think of that quote?
He thinks that he has his guy in Brock Purdy. And he feels like if Trey doesn't work out, we're good because I have Brock Purdy. And we've seen him play at a high level. Now, you could make the case that has Brock Purdy seen the league adjust to him? There's now a lot of tape on him. And teams will adjust their game plan. And maybe it doesn't change. Maybe Brock Purdy's that good enough to overcome that. With the combination of Shanahan's play calling and the combination of all the players he has on the field, we cannot dismiss the fact that they have Christian McCaffrey. So you have a buffer there. Christian McCaffrey is the ultimate joystick. He's the ultimate check down guy. He can run between the tackles, and he opens up everything for everybody else. That is the biggest thing. You know, we talk so much about the quarterback, Shasky. The reason why I really felt like they had a shot at Philadelphia is because of Christian McCaffrey. Let's just keep it a buck. I thought Christian McCaffrey was the difference maker last year, not Brock Purdy. Christian McCaffrey made Brock Purdy's job easier. Brandon Ayuk made Brock Purdy's job easier.
Let me ask you this. How many games could Purdy struggle this year and still be the quarterback?
I don't know. It depends how bad it looks. Is it a couple 3 interception games? Is it a couple 2 interception games?
How quickly did we turn on Mullins? I forget. Was it 3 games? 2 games? Felt like just the Eagles game?
The Eagles game. He got benched in that game. He was so bad he got benched after throwing for 300 yards against the New York Giants. He got benched on Sunday Night Football. And I cackled. That's a great question right here before we get to Rob and San Bruno. 925 Comcast Business Text Line. 925, a guy who's already done it. Purdy's career only halfway to what Mark Sanchez accomplished. Let that sink in. That is facts.
That's
a lot of people laugh at Mark Sanchez.
That's interesting.
Mark Sanchez went to 2 AFC title games in the first 2 years. They were knocking on the doorstep.
That's a really interesting comp. Actually, I think that's a really good comp.
That's a great comp.
I think he's better than Sanchez, but that's an interesting comp.
Sanchez made plays.
Well, I also was ready to bank on Sanchez moving forward.
I was too.
Here's where I would say Sanchez's team let him down. Thomas Jones was a hog for them.
He was.
And they didn't really have any playmakers outside of that.
Braylon Edwards, I think. That's about it.
Braylon Edwards lasted 5 seconds with Harbaugh.
Oh, I remember that. And they had a great defense. Great defense.
They were all time.
You know what? This is a good one. 510. To that question about mid quarterbacks, 510. Comcast Business Text Line, the last Peyton Manning Super Bowl. He was a shell of himself. And he got benched that year. He did get benched for Brock Osweiler at times in that year.
He was also brilliant on that first drive. No one wants to give it
That's one drive, though.
I know, but I'm just saying,
how many times did we see?
He waited all 2 weeks. He came out and he executed.
Shasky, one drive.
It's Peyton Manning. But
Jimmy Garoppolo.
Can we also say,
was Jimmy Garoppolo great on the opening drive against Minnesota?
Peyton Manning is smarter, than any. He's one of the smartest quarterbacks of all time.
But in that game, in that season, he was a game manager.
No doubt. Osweiler took his job.
He couldn't throw.
Yeah.
All right? So that's a great comp right there.
No,
Peyton
it's a
Manning,
good one.
Super Bowl 50.
But here's where I differentiate. When you're Peyton Manning, even if you're on your literal last leg, your brain is smarter than 99% of the players who have ever played the game. And so I give you a little more. It's like Greg Maddux at 45 years old. You know what I mean? I don't care if the stuff's not there. The brain's still there.
Let's go to Rob and San Bruno. Rob, what's happening?
What's going on, fellas? Hey, Butcher Boy, I remember last year after they injured Trey, Kyle injured Trey, I remember you asked a question. If Jimmy Garoppolo wasn't the backup, would he have ran Trey like that? And then you just read a quote with Kyle, and then Monte said, well, he has
Brock Purdy
back there. So basically, he sabotaged his own starting quarterback because he prefers the guy with the noodle on. I don't understand that. Look, though, this year is going to be tough this year. I don't believe Purdy is a Super Bowl winning quarterback. He doesn't have – the Niners' biggest problem in the playoffs is they cannot stretch the field, and teams know it. If you look at the scheme, you look at when we played KC, we played teams with big defensive linemen. They dominated us because the Niners, they want smaller guards. They get dominated because they're slow. They get dominated, and a lot of times Chris Jones dominated us the year before last. Yep. The Cats in Philly dominated in the paint. So I'm just like,
Aaron Donald. Hey, Rob, Aaron Donald. NFC, Sean Robinson, NFC Championship 2021.
So to me, it's a scheme thing. It's like that since his dad. Go look at his dad. Outside of John Elway, they always got beat up. Remember, I don't think I remember 2003. I think they played the Patriots, and then Vince Wilfork beat them up in the middle of the field every single time. So it's like, to me, it's a scheme thing. And to me, you putting Purdy in harm's way because he can't get away from pressure. We seen last year, bro. I'm gonna use that playoff game because I seen the same thing to Seattle the first half. They basically said we're gonna stop the run and take the middle of the field away and beat it from the outside. And he struggled. If he has to hold the ball too long, he can't see over the line of scrimmage. He's like Russell Wilson is now. To where Russell back in the day, Russell could get out and create more time than creative on the outside. Now that Russell cannot get away that fast, he has to stay in the pocket. And he has a hard time seeing over the line of scrimmage. That's the same thing with Purdy. I just don't understand. I just don't get it. But I feel like Trey don't get a chance. It's probably going to be week 5. But to me, I think Kyle Shanahan has this bubble board mentality for Purdy. And then he's going to let Purdy have mistake after mistake. And he's going to play through mistakes. My thing is this. Purdy's not a finished product. So you're willing to wait for Purdy with less talent, but you're not willing to wait for Trey Lance. And my last thing is this. We're not a Super Bowl ready team until we figure this quarterback position out. And I feel like Trey is the reason we're going to win a Super Bowl. It won't be because of Purdy.
I don't know about that part.
He's able to make plays.
Well, that's the thing. There's Rob's on fire. Can't wait to see him at training camp this year.
I don't know about the Trey portion, but on the portion of because right now Trey is not good. We will see if he's good. Time will tell.
We don't know what Trey is.
Well, okay, fine, but I can't put them in Super Bowl contender status without more concrete evidence at quarterback. That's just me. Now, it's like week 12, Purdy's rolling. Team is 9-3. I'm like, all right, you know what?
But see,
there we go.
That's my issue. That's my issue right there.
What?
And I go to Shanahan. And people are going to think I hate Shanahan.
What do you mean?
I think he's been a right head coach for the 49ers. He flipped his entire program. But there is a problem that I can't get over. I can't get over the fact that we're entering year 7 of the Shanahan era, and the quote-unquote offensive guru has yet to figure out the quarterback spot. He's yet to figure it out, Shasky. And 3 NFC Championships games, a Super Bowl appearance, but it's like, boy, if you had a quarterback, you may have won a Lombardi, and our conversation will be completely different. The fact that we're entering year 7 and we have no idea who's taking a snap in Pittsburgh September 10th is a problem for me. There's a belief that Purdy's going to start September 10th, according to Matt Mayoko, but the guy's coming off a UCL injury. Will he come back better than ever? I have no idea. He just started throwing the football. I have no idea what Trey Lance is. We've seen him play 4 games. He's made some really good throws in those 4 games. He's made some bad decisions in those 4 games. We just don't know, though. We don't know who he is. And then Sam Darnold, who all of a sudden is, you know what? He's the greatest reclamation project. He has a chance to win comeback player of the year. We've seen 5 years of Sam Darnold. All right? Maybe he does play well. I just don't know. So it's a big question mark at the most important position in North American sports. Yeah. The most important position in all of sports is a question mark.
Who earned more equity? 2019 Jimmy G? 2022 Brock Purdy?
2019 Jimmy Garoppolo.
Okay. Who was the fan base more iffy on heading into the offseason? Because in 2020, the reason I asked this, in 2020, heading into it, there was obviously Tom Brady stuff. There was the COVID thing. And then there was the Mike Silver report of If Jimmy struggles.
Well, that was before 2019.
Oh,
that was a training camp in 2019.
Why did I think it was 2020?
No, because I vividly remember that with Stein. I was doing a show with Steiny and Guru at the time.
That wasn't 2020.
No, it was going into the 2019 season because he was coming off the ACL injury, and he just had the bad preseason game in Denver. He had the 5 interception practice, and everybody's losing their minds, and we're like, and then we saw the Tampa Bay game. We're like, oh boy, this is going to be a long year.
Yeah.
But you look at the schedule in 2019, he had built up that equity, but it was gone because of the Super Bowl loss. The reason why Brock Purdy has equity now, because we don't know how he would have played in that Philadelphia game. We actually thought he had a shot to win that Philadelphia game. We just don't know. So I think right now the fan base feels a lot better about Brock Purdy because of the way it ended. I feel like he didn't get a fair shot to win that game.
Well, so the reason why I asked this is because I'm trying to remember, go back into the 2020 season. It felt like week 1, after taking the team to the Super Bowl and having the best quarterback season statistically since Jeff Garcia, it felt like a couple of weeks was all we gave him. I mean, a couple of quarters. Week 1, we were ready to crush the guy after losing to Arizona at home.
And that wasn't fair. Remember, the context matters to me. Kendrick Bourne, Trent Taylor, and Dante Pettis was his starting receivers in that football game.
And George Kittle got hurt.
Yeah, George Kittle, it was part of Jimmy's fault, but I mean, and Raheem Mostert got hurt too in that game.
Right,
remember?
Yeah. He ran one like 70 yards.
He caught the angle route, 90 yards against Isaiah Simmons.
And then he was done.
Yeah.
But like, I'm looking back at the game logs here. They lose to the Cardinals. They beat the Jets and Giants. Lose to the Eagles. That was the game Mullen started, correct? Because of the ankle injury to Jimmy?
Well, Jimmy got hurt in the Jets game, so Mullen started the Giants.
Okay, so they went 1-1. Jimmy comes back against Miami, 17-43. They lose. I remember you and me doing post-game show from our homes during COVID. It was like unanimous. We need to go back to Nick Mullins.
Not me. No, I was
laughing at you. Callers.
Oh, yeah, callers. Yeah, I mean, they were all over Nick Mullins. All over Nick Mullins, which shows how delusional.
No, but I think to Rob's point, 5 games is about what you give Purdy. Like, if he comes out 2-3, 1-4 at the beginning of the year, you're going to hear people calling for quarterback change.
Yeah. You think so?
I mean, there's just so many options. If you're going to hype up Sam Darnold and you're going to hype up Trey Lance, and then if Purdy struggles a little, you're kind of giving him no leeway. Like, I don't think that's fair to Brock.
You know what that speaks to?
What?
The desperation we need at quarterback. We're so fixated, which is why we love Trey so much, which is why we did that video that's not aging well right now at a training camp, where we're like, oh my God, Trey Lance, because we just hadn't seen him before.
I mean,
and we got a little small dosage with Kaepernick, and it didn't end well with Kaepernick, and I think it was a byproduct of the coaching staff and everything around Kaepernick, and that was that, especially with the political stuff. It just probably wasn't worth it for some teams, I guess. I still disagree with that, but anyway, Kaepernick gave us a glimpse. That's why we all was like, oh my God, he could throw the rock all over the field. He could run too. He's the modern day quarterback, a two-way type of quarterback who could run and throw. We just want to wrap our rounds around somebody and we want our guy. Kansas City has their guy. Cincinnati has their guy. Buffalo has their guy. Philadelphia has their guy.
Do the Arizona Cardinals have their guy?
We don't know yet, which is why people are losing their minds. And they're in a complete rebuild.
Because I think we harshly criticize Kyler. He's put together a couple of really good years.
He has.
Now, they faded, but he's put together a couple of really good years. And even Kyler, who has a bigger body of work than Brock, I'm like, I don't know about him. To me, Kyler's issues are way more off-field.
If Arizona said, give us Purdy, you could have Kyler right now, would you take him in this offense with the 49ers?
With that money, no. Because at that position, you need to be all in as a leader. And the fact that his own teammates are questioning his leadership, I'm out on Kyler. And I was the biggest Kyler fan coming out. Right.